G'day and welcome to Vertical Rescue. I appreciate you wanting to take part in a course with us. We are offering a vertical rescue course in 4 days, and as such, we're quite pushed for time and we want to make sure you cover all aspects of that thoroughly. Soon, or you should already have received a link via email in order to complete your registration for the course. This course is being provided via the RTO called Allen's Training. Allen's Training's quite a big company, more associated with the first aid related courses. However, they do have this within their scope, and as such we're able to deliver that. There is a few pages of assessment exam type thing towards the back end, and that will either be sent out to you or you'll be supplied that on the day of the courses. When we do issue that exam, it has a specific PAC number, PAC number, and it's at the top right corner of your paperwork. Only one person can have a number on that course, so you can't go sharing paperwork with the same PAC numbers, so please make sure you don't do that. Part of your online registration, you're going to need a USI number as well, so make sure you've got that sorted. And if you're watching this video and you're on the course but haven't been sent out a enrollment email, it's probably because your agency sent us an incorrect email address or spelling or a typo, or your email system with that agency is not correctly linked up properly. So if you're watching this and you should have had it, just give me a call on 0418 876562 and I'll be able to correct that issue and get you registered as soon as you can. Being a 4-day course, we need you to be there every day and not miss any aspect of the course. We're unable to give you half a day off, for example, to go and do something and then come back. It just means you're going to miss too much of the course and we won't have time to process you or catch you up. Vertical rescue is quite a complex, physically draining course where fitness is a serious requirement, and you will be put through your paces during training and assessment. These courses, because they're nationally accredited, we cannot just sign you off because you've turned up. You've got to complete quite physical aspects for this course, and a lot of times people are struggling climbing a rope or not bypassing a knot in a rope because they can't physically lift their own weight. I probably can't put a rough guide on what's expected for you to do as an example, because climbing ropes are a very unique technique. You're going to need a lot of upper body strength. You should be able to do at least one chin up, but that's not a requirement in any way. Sometimes people can't do chin ups but can still climb rope, but that's to give you an idea of how physically draining it's going to be. I have sent you an email with some links to complete some pre-course study, and they're just watching videos. That'll send you to my website where I've got some particular videos that I find will help you and will benefit you through the course. There are no real workbooks. There's no real online stuff to do, just watching videos, listening to this, and at the very end of it we've got a little exam for you to fill out, and that's quite simple. We don't do a lot of, we don't do any PowerPoint presentations on the course. We just, you'll be on ropes within the next half an hour after attending. You'll be on rope. That's our main objective, is to get you up and down as many times as we can. The agency you're possibly with are probably providing lunch, so if you've got any dietary need, you need to contact your agency to let them know if you've got any special needs for food, etc. Here's a table of contents that this PowerPoint is going to be covering, and we'll be going through that soon with you. Duty of care. look, I suppose with anything, you've got a duty of care within your agency. So if you're responding to an emergency, there's an expectation on you to provide a certain service. You can't turn up as a rescue member and say, oh, I don't want to help you today. There's sort of an expectation that you do, and you work within your skills, ability, training and qualifications. You don't want to be going outside of that. There are quite a lot of legislations around that's going to affect on what you do, and we can talk more about those during the course, or you can do your own research. Australian standards, yeah, all the gear we're using is up to Australian standards, and we're operating within that. So again, we're going to cover more of that on the course. Hazards and risks. Right, let's say you've turned up to a job and you've got to assess, am I in danger? Am I going to get hurt? Are other people going to get hurt? So some clear examples here. Might you be turning up to a confined space? Well, that's an obvious risk because you need to be confined space qualified. You may need breathing apparatus. You may need a permit to go in. The quality of the air might be really poor, so you're managing that with either a mask or breathing apparatus. Task-related hazards, well, that could be the fact that you're actually abseiling down with falling rocks, loose edges, sharp edges. The environment might cover such things as snakes, ants that bite you, and also you might have your own personal hazards. So you might be not feeling very well, you might be hungover. You absolutely don't want to be out there risking yourself or others by you being the particular risk. So with poor air quality, sometimes you may be required to go in quite a small area. It might be dusty, there might be chemicals around, so we've got to manage that. Here's some examples of task-related hazards, as I mentioned earlier. So all of these could be a risk to you, and you've got to be able to manage them. All right. So things we can do is to remove the plant equipment, turn off power points, turn off the wall power, move anything that's going to trip you up. Suspension trauma, we're going to cover that a fair bit during the course in practical, but if you're sitting your harness too long, you are going to be blocking off a lot of the blood flow to your legs, and if it's sitting down there getting really toxic, and when you come back to the ground, that suspension trauma, toxins might go through your body and kill you. So you've got to keep moving your legs while you're up there. All right, just some examples of that. So think about your environment. Let's say you're out there out in the snow. Well, what issues have you got out there? You might have rain, snow, cold, swift water. That's a big one for me. You know, you could drown. You've got to be swift water qualified if you're going to be playing around in water. And physical features, thing that might impact you. Overhangs, we'll teach you how to manage overhangs, how to get over edges properly. When you're out on a vertical rescue, you have to consider things that's going to impact your operations and what's going to impact you. So if you've got to lift people up, get a group of people to help you lift. Don't do it by yourself. Manage your own body. You know, you don't want to destroy yourself. Make sure you wash your hands if you're dealing with someone bleeding, and also you'll have to deal with bystanders that might get in your way, try and help you, try and interrupt you, the media annoying you. So stuff you've got to deal with on the scene of a rescue. Vertical rescue, you definitely want to have some pre-planning. You want to arrange your gear in suitable bags, know where everything is, set up your harness properly to suit you, have lighting on your helmet, have some systems in place, a checklist to make sure your gear's in there, and also manage other agencies as well. So if you've got other agencies attending your scene, you want to make sure that you're all on the same page. So having training nights with them, getting to know what each agency's got in their kit so you can use it if you need. Let's say a fresh job comes in, a person stuck halfway down a cliff in your local area. Things you want to start collecting intelligence for prior to attending would be stuff like how many victims, where are they injured, where's the access by road, give me a GPS coordinate, give me a what3 word, what's their name, what equipment do you need to access, what comms are going on at the scene, who's your local first aider, who else is there, what other agencies are turning up and what capabilities do they have. All this collecting intel before you leave your station on the way, and also when you start arriving, you'll look at your windscreen and just assess the scene as you're approaching. Your agency can come up with whatever plans they want, stuff that's going to make your life easier on the job, that's already pre-done, pre-written, pre-organised, pre-planned, will make your life easier. So all these different procedures you can implement within your agency to make it run smoothly for the operation. Having other agencies attend your job may help you in a great way. A lot of these agencies will come with specialised equipment, specialised skills, knowledge, local area, and they can be used to assist you. Not only agencies, but it might even be the local farmer, okay, the local delivery man. They might have access to equipment that you need to put in a high redirect, for example. So don't ever rule out using other agencies that you're seeing. You just got to manage them properly. In Swiftwater Rescue, we use an acronym called LAST, L-A-S-T, Locate, Access, Stabilise, Transport. That's taken that and sort of broken it further into different 5 stages. So preparation is having your gear ready in bags, having it laid out properly in trucks so you know where it is. Assessment is on the way there. You're assessing the scene, collecting information. As you arrive, you're pre-planning how you're going to access the patient by setting up systems, communication systems, and then phase 4, you're going to work out, you are going to go in and rescue the person, so you're going to gain entry and recover them from where they are, and at the end of it you're going to terminate the job, and that is pack up, clean up, pre-prepare for the next job. Here's some further preparation phases that I just mentioned earlier. You can just read through that one. So some roles within the team. Normally at a job of a vertical rescue, you've got at least 4 operators. You're probably going to have 10, 20 people on scene. So you've got to allocate job roles, and each of these roles should be tasked to someone. That way you're ensuring that the operation is going to run smoothly. Not everyone has to be a technical expert at a job. However, if you've got someone there that's able to do that, they can be utilised in a really good way to make sure systems are operating properly and efficiently. Here's some of your goals. Have a read through that one. The major thing you want to get out of a rescue job is to not injure the patient anymore and to get them out as smoothly, cleanly, and as fast as efficiently as you can. You'll be generally guided by the ambulance on scene in relation to the patient's welfare and their health. So if time's an issue, the ambos will certainly let you know that they want them to go up or down or to get them out fast. So just consider that while you're attending the scene. Some of the gear you've got, well, I've got my gear set up quite comfortably. I've got a really nice thick harness, well padded. I've got more gear on it than I'll ever need, and it's all set up for a rescue. So I wouldn't have them in separate bags. I'd have them all in one bag to say this is my go bag, and it's all decked out ready for me to go. And you've got to work out what type of rescue you're going to be doing with the victim. Once you get to the victim, how are you going to attach them to you? So that's a plan you need to work out, and that's you having the right gear on you. Again, when you're organising the casualties gear, the AMBOs will probably give you an idea how they want them to be brought up, whether they be flat, in a harness, spine, a neck brace, neck collar, and how you're going to get them up. So liaise with the experts on scene and what equipment you've got. As I mentioned earlier, on my harness, when I'm all decked out, it's quite heavy and it's full of gear. So here's a list of some of the equipment you're going to use. I can see everything in here that I've got. Pulley system, so you should have a set of 4s on you as well. A bunch of beaners. So everything listed there is pretty good for me. During your 4-day course, we're going to cover a fair bit on anchors. You're going to be all over it by the end of the day, but you need materials in order to establish an anchor, whether it be tape, pre-sewn slings, and once you're on the site, you're going to work out, is my anchor bomb-proof? If it is, you're welcome to use that one whole anchor by itself as your whole anchor points for all the systems. Bomb-proof is something that will not ever move. It's solid. It could be a half a metre wide tree that's well anchored. It's rooted into the ground well. It looks healthy. It's not dead. You can just tell it's solid. If you've got marginal anchors, well, you may need to establish several anchor points on several different marginal anchors to establish something that you're suitable and happy with. So most of the ropes we're using here that you're going up and down with and we're rescuing from are 11mm static ropes. There are Australian standards for these ropes, and the ropes we're using are strong. You're looking probably about 3 tonne per rope, and they don't have much stretch in it, and that's why it's called static. You can have other ropes that rock climbers use that is dynamic, and that has a lot of stretch in it and allows them to absorb a fall. So we'll be going through a fair bit of knots and ropes on the course with you. However, I have sent a link to you with anchors and knots listed on it that you're welcome to go through in your own time. Since you guys are doing your vertical rescue training, you guys will be seen upon by other members of your group to be at the pinnacle of your career in rescue once you've done vertical rescue. Okay, it's a very well reputable course that anyone who does vertical rescue is really good at what they do, and there's some expectations that by the end of the course you know how to, first of all, tie knots, make them look nice by dressing them, and know what knots to use in a particular instance. Okay, so there are more knots to watch on my video that I've linked before, sent you the link to. A lot of times when we're doing rescue, and most of the time, we're going to be covering all the maths and science behind what is happening within the system. So we need to know, first of all, how heavy is the load we're lifting up. Most of the time we will deal in the weight in kilograms, but when we're talking about braking strains and safe working loads, we're talking in kilonewtons of force. Because someone weighs 100 kilos on a rope, if they fall a small bit, their weight is no longer 100 kilos, it's increased. Okay, and that's when we talk in kilonewtons of force. 1 kilonewton is about 100 kilograms approximately. So if you're looking at your carabiner, it may have on the sides of it, for example, 32 kilonewtons. 32 kilonewtons is actually 3,200 kilograms. So whatever kilonewton numbers are on your carabiner or equipment, if you just add 2 zeros to that, that will give you the weight, its strength in kilograms. We will be covering mechanical advantage on the course, and generally the systems we're going to be using is either a 3-to-1 or a 5-to-1. I will go into the more technical tension method of calculating systems, and you'll have a basic understanding of how to calculate mechanical advantage on the day. But if you look up on Google or YouTube, 3-to-1 mechanical advantage, 5-to-1 mechanical advantage, or just watch my videos attached. Whenever we're dealing in safety factors, as a general rule, if you were to deal with software, which is ropes, webbing, something that's soft, you're dealing with a factor of about 8. So whatever the breaking strain is, you need to divide that by 8 to get the safe working load. And the safe working load is the load that you want to work within, not go past. So for example, an 11mm static rope will have a safety factor of 375 kilograms. Although the rope's about 3 ton breaking strain, we never ever want to get to that point. So we divide it by about 8, and that will give you your safety factor for software. Hardware, we can divide it by 4. So if we're dealing with carabiners, something like that, it may have a safety factor of 3 ton or 2.5 ton. We just got to divide that by 4, and that'll give us our safe working load. Scene management. Well, as a former policeman, I've dealt with scene management quite a lot. And generally, if you're dealing with a scene, it might be a major incident where someone may be seriously injured. Police may be involved, and it may be even a coronial matter. So scene management is quite important in relation to collecting and preserving evidence. So if you have a suspicious scene that we're pretty sure it's going to be a police matter, or the police are on scene and they're telling you this is our crime scene, you just want to make sure we're not going to disturb too much. So whether you set up cones to only have access through one particular area, so the police know that's where you've gone in and out. Also, if you're dealing with the patient, if you move stuff, lift stuff, cut stuff, do stuff, record it. Take photographs if you want as well, and only give those photos to the police. That way you can preserve the scene as you arrive and as you left. If we're assessing the scene as we approach, we want to find out what's going to hurt us or other people. So that's identifying what hazards are around there. If you spot a hazard, identify it. The best thing you can do is remove the hazard so you know it's no longer a hazard. If the hazard cannot be moved, you've got to then work around it to put in control measures to lessen your chance of getting hurt from that matter. Okay, other things you can do to minimize the risk is by wearing PPE. So if you've got an area, for example, you're going to have falling rocks possibly, well, wear a helmet. Have people not go near the edge of the cliff while you're abseiling down. Right, you want to report that to your supervisor to let them know what's going on, and also during the briefing you want to cover that. So as a first responder, if I've turned up and I'm the team leader of the scene, I will then collect some intel from police, ambos, witnesses. Okay, then I'll go down to the site, and if they've fallen off a cliff or are halfway down a cliff, I will make my way to the edge of the cliff to identify where is the casualty. Once I know where the casualty is, I want to then find out the best access to get to them. I may not want to go directly over the top of the victim when I'm abseiling down, so I'll go slightly to one side. That way, if anything falls down, it will miss the patient, hopefully. You want to find out their situation. What is the risk to them, and how much time do I have? If you've got time, you're going to set things up way differently than in an emergency. If it is an emergency, the ambo says, look, this guy's down there, he's reporting he's bleeding out a lot. Well, that's when you're going to head down as a first responder. This first responder will be one of your assessment activities that you need to get signed off on. And the first responder is basically, he's got his harness on, helmet on, gear on. He's taken 2 rope bags down. He's tied off those 2 ropes to an anchor point, and he's abseiling down quickly. So there's no major gear set up. It's just your basic simple knot, clipping on and go. You're responding down to the victim in order to treat them, to stabilize them. This slide's was covered a little bit back in 2 slides prior, but yeah, if you're turning up to a scene where police are involved and you've got to collect evidence for the police, as a policeman, I would like photographs. A lot of agencies don't like it, but if you've got the ability to take a photo, or many photos, or video, or both, and only give that evidence to the police only, never share it with anyone else, okay? So you can either write stuff down, take notes on your phone, whatever suits you. So now at the stage where we've turned up, we've collected information from witnesses, we've yelled out to the victim, we know what's going on. Then you're going to come up with a pre-entry plan. So you're going to plan what you're going to do. As a team leader, this should be your role, and you're going to get a group together, explain the situation, get ideas from other people on the scene, find out what equipment you've got in the area or other agencies are bringing in. You're going to then task people to certain jobs, and then as the job continues on, you may need to change or modify your plan in order to make the job run smoothly. As I mentioned before, the acronym LAST, L-A-S-T, Locate, Access, Stabilise, Transport. We use this a lot in rescue and a lot of it in Swiftwater. So you want to make sure in order, you want to complete this LAST in order. So first is you want to locate the victim, collect as much info as you can. Access is your next step. So you want to work out how you're going to access them the best way, the smoothest way. Once we have accessed them, we want to stabilise them. We want to make sure they're packaged up, roped up, harnessed up, helmet up, glasses on, their first aid needs have been sorted. And the final stage, after you've done all that, is to transport them. How are we going to get them back to the hot zone where people are, that they can be treated and transported properly by vehicle? Vertical rescue is quite hard, so any opportunity you get to increase your numbers on the scene, do it. You do need people with haul power, lifting power, communications, equipment moving, etc. So use your staff appropriately and efficiently. Communications are a big thing on scenes of rescues. So once you are at the scene, once you've done your briefing with everyone, this is where you want to manage your communications, whether it be via radios, hand signals, whistle signals. You may need a daisy chain of people in order to maintain your communications over a long distance. You may need repeaters for your radios. So work with your agencies in order to manage that properly. Here's some further details about the pre-entry briefing. So have a read through that one while we're here. Hazard control. So I gave an example before where the best way to eliminate or manage a hazard is to eliminate it, take it away. If you've got something there that's causing an issue, remove it. If you don't have a way of removing it, you've got to come up with a plan to make it safer, whether you cordon off an area with barrier tape, put on safety lines, put down carpet to stop rocks falling, and if that doesn't work, the next best thing will be PPE. So wear stuff that's going to lessen your chances of serious injury or death, but the risk is still there, the hazard's still there. You'll notice during the course we mention a term, rig for rescue. Rig for rescue is a term we used in order to, when you're setting up your operation lines, your rescue lines, you are setting them up in a way that they can be used at any point to rescue someone, even the rescuer, and more likely the rescuer. So let's say you've set up a simple line. If you've rigged it up as a first responder, your job is to go down to the victim as soon as you can, package them up, clean them up, first aid. Their lines probably won't be set for rig for rescue. They're designed to be put in fast and access quick. If you do have time, then you need to set up the gear where you've got for example, clutches or IDs, belaying devices, that they allow you to quickly swap over from lowering people down in an emergency or hauling them back up whilst they've got progress capture. So that's an example of setting up gear for rig for rescue. A lot of the systems we teach you on the course is real basic, simple ones that's probably going to work 95% of the time. So that's our main objective for this, is to do what we can to teach you stuff that you're going to use most of the time. If you've got out of the box stuff, this is where you may need to bring in more technical, experienced people in order to slightly modify the systems to make them more effective for your rescue. This was a slide that we have touched quite a bit, and that's preserving evidence. We have covered that quite a bit, but you're welcome to read through that. Gaining access, as I mentioned before, locate, access, stabilise, transport. So we're now at the access stage. We've got down to the victim. Once we're down to the victim, we're in a nice position. We're in a position where we can collect information from the victim to find out what's going on. We can then relay information from the victim back to the rescue team and ambulances on scene to give us more specific information. Also, once they're down there, if the ambos need us to do something with the victim, we can either lower the ambos down to assist them, or we can lower gear down for you to assist the patient with more technical medical supplies. Setting up. We've got our gear lined up. We've got systems in place. We want to make sure it's rigged properly and checked. There's an acronym we use out in the field. It's called ARCHER, A-R-C-H-E-R. You will be needing to have a full understanding of ARCHER for the course, and it's going to be expected that you have a real good understanding of each aspect of it. This allows us to do basically a checklist before we go over the edge of a cliff to make sure we're safe. So A is for anchors, and that's just to check is our anchor suitable. So what I'd be looking for and expecting from you is, when you're going through your ARCHER check, would be something like, okay, my anchor is a tree. The tree is alive, it's well rooted, and it's into a solid earth surface. It's wide enough so it won't snap, and I'm happy with it. Rope. Rope is connected to the anchor. It's fed around. It's connected through a suitable knot. It comes down to me without any imperfections or damage to the rope. It's going through a device that is loaded correctly and exiting the correct side, allowing me to hold it with my right hand. It continues on all the way down to the floor where there is a knot at the end of it. Connectors. C. I have carabiners. I've checked and screwed and squeeze tested every carabiner to ensure they're done properly. I have all of any other connecting points attached to me, whether it be buckles connected to devices. They're all done up and checked. Harness. Harness is over my shoulders. It's tight. I have a waist strap on that's connected. The buckles are done up properly. My leg straps are tight enough and comfortable, and it is in date and functional for the use. I have a chest ascender attached if I need to ascend. Helmet. I have a helmet on. It's done up. It won't come off my head. E is for equipment. And that is covering anything related to any other equipment you've got going on. So you'd be looking around, what else am I using? Well, I've got an ID. Again, it's correctly done up. It's through a carabiner. It's fed properly, and I've tested it. I have pulleys in the system, and they are connected, closed, orientated correctly, and the focal point to those the pulleys are in the footprint of the frame we're using. I have hand ascenders attached to me that I can use if I need to ascend. And R is for ready. My final confirmation that everything's good to go. I've had a buddy check done, and I'm now descending down or going up. That is your ARCHER. ARCHER, anchors, rope, connectors, harness, equipment ready. Again, I mentioned before that we're going to teach you stuff that you're going to use 95% of the time. We are using twin rope systems, which is two ropes basically mirroring everything that we've got on one side is on another. So there is no single point of failure in your system. The only slight variation to that is a rigging plate. This rigging plate there's only one in a system. That's because it's deemed to be so strong that it's impossible to break in normal operations. So there's a whole bunch of rescue techniques we can use. We can go down to someone, do a one-on-one pluck off. We can bypass knots. We can put them in Stokes litter. We can haul them up. We can set up mechanical advantage systems to raise them. We can belay them down using belay devices. Once we're finally ready to conduct the rescue, and that is to take them to where they need to go, we want to make sure this is done smoothly and safe, and we've got our communication system set up properly. How we terminate the rescue? Well, we need to pack up all the gear, have a debrief at the scene or soon after, check all your gear, make sure it's ready to go for the next job. During the debrief, you might be able to find out what worked well, what didn't, what other equipment you need. We can retire stuff that's no longer useful to us and order some new gear if needed. We want to make sure our maintenance logs are completed, so any rope logs, we want to fill out the use of it. When we're packing it up, we're inspecting it for damage. And complete all the required documentation that your agency needs. In your debrief, again, you'll run that your own methods your agency requires, but here's a few considerations you can use. Have a read through that one. It's a good idea to work well with agencies, different people, community, media. That's just communication. If you're communicating well with everyone on the site, everyone feels rewarded and pleased with their outcome, you'll always be beneficial for your work.